All right, let's begin. So first, what is design thinking? Design thinking is a method that is mainly used for the purpose of comprehending people, questions, problems, and solutions. It is used to turn ideas into physical and evaluatable products as soon as possible. So the design thinking framework consists of three ideas: immersion, ideation, and implementation. What are the five stages of the design thinking process? The five stages are not always followed in a specific order, and they often occur at the same time as well as repeat numerous times. The five stages are empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. So, first, empathize. This is where you discover your target audience and learn more about the audience, such as their problems and necessities. Next, define. This is where you determine your problem statement. You focus on your user's needs and you use a problem statement as a guiding tool. Next, ideate. This is where you collaborate with others with different areas of expertise, and in this case, you want quantity over quality. Prototype. The goal is to create a product that can be evaluated and critiqued in this stage. And lastly, test. Users will provide feedback that will help determine if your solution is viable, and this ultimately helps save money in the long term. What is the Cloud Innovation Center? So, the Cloud Innovation Center creates a chance for nonprofit institutions, education services, and departments to work with other public sector companies. This is where they can all work together to collaborate on issues of high importance, and it can help test issues using Amazon's innovation process. This is where you harness the technology of AWS, and any nonprofit institutions, education services, or government departments can all register to work on an assignment. What is the culture of innovation? Amazon aims to be the world's most customer centric organization, and they do this to four main customer sets: consumers, sellers, enterprises, and content creators. What are the characteristics of an innovative culture? First, hire builders. You should hire builders with different backgrounds and points of view in order to make decisions. Next, fail fast. Try all possibilities and be accepting and okay with failure. Working backwards. Constantly drive customer centric ingenious thinking, and this is used to make sure that the product is actually what the customer needs. Lastly, two pizza teams. This is when you hire efficient workers in order to minimize communication and unnecessary meetings. The reason it is called two pizza teams is because an innovation team should require no more than two pizzas to feed them, as they are a small yet efficient team. So, what is the formula for innovation? Innovation is equal to culture plus people plus tools and mechanisms. Here's a video on the design thinking process that will be linked below. Next, let's discuss the 5 W's of innovation at Amazon. First, what is innovation? Innovation is the successful integration of new thoughts into society. Where does innovation take place? Innovation takes place everywhere, and it can range from inventing something to improving it. Who innovates? Everyone. Innovation is the way one goes about their work. When does one innovate? Every day. It occurs because of ongoing events and unexpected circumstances. And lastly, why innovate? Because everything depends on it. Innovation creates new opportunities to serve consumers. Next, models of innovation. There are numerous models, each with their own pros and cons, and a way to categorize them is by separating it across a continuum of both continuous and discontinuous models. Continuous models are innovation that is described as incremental, evolutionary, and reactive. These are more linear type changes for constant increase over time. Discontinuous models are innovation that are described as disruptive, revolutionary, and transformative, and these are more non-linear, abrupt changes. So, what is the innovation process? The innovation process is the most common process to uphold innovation, and it depends on working deliberately according to the goal and shared thoughts. This revolves around constantly injecting innovation into independent and teamwork, and it requires working backwards from the customer This means to constantly come back to the customer's own ideas for solving problems, and you should work repetitively, continually reevaluating the problem at hand. So, working intentionally. This is when you work is both intentful and determined. This siphons AWS's customer obsession into solving a certain conflict. Organizations will work specifically together to make sure that their business decisions are both orderly and managed. And teams will also work purposefully together. However, individual workers are required to take the lead and ownership of their own efforts in order to optimize innovation. So, what is the starting place for working intentionally? The starting place comes from the vision and the mental models. The vision is an idea of how certain things could be, contrasting to how they currently are. This contradicts conventional wisdom, and one should be rigid on the vision but relaxed on the specifics. Next, the mental model are basic ideas that act as the base for generating other ideas, and it raises ideas from the ground and provides them with superior direction. This is formed as a statement of cause and effect, and it helps create new ideas. Next, working backwards. This is made up of the 5 customer questions, which are: who is the customer? What is the customer's problem or opportunity? What is the most important customer benefit? And how do you know what the customers want or need? And lastly, what does the customer experience look like? So all of these questions are created to maintain the customer's importance and keep them involved in the innovation process. Here is a video covering the innovation process. Next, working iteratively. So the innovation process becomes iterative, especially during its execution. Many ideas never get past the original analysis phase, and execution is when an organization actually chooses to commit to an idea. As a result, they will hire a leader and a committed team. Successful execution leads to experimentation, and experimentation is the original heart of success. However, the research that takes place must be limited to answering specific questions related to serving customers. There are 2 types of decisions: one-way door decisions and two-way door decisions. One-way door decisions are difficult to return to once they have been made. However, two-way door decisions are reversible, and they are made quickly by superior groups and high-level individuals. One-way door decisions should be taken carefully as they cannot be redone, but two-way door decisions can. Next, where do ideas come from? Ideas come from a range of places, including expertise in a beginner's mind. Opening a mind influences perspective and helps new ideas emerge, as well as helping prevent personal bias, assumptions, and limitations. Furthermore, ideas can come from irrational optimism and grit. Ideas that are not commonly accepted should not be neglected immediately, and resilience is extremely important as it helps one make their good ideas a reality. Furthermore, being misunderstood is not always a negative. Next, listening and imaging. Ideas come from visualizing a customer's idea before they can do so themselves, and in order to do so, you have to get to know your customer and put yourself in their shoes. A great amount of AWS's ideas actually came from listening to their customers. Next, history and science fiction. Ideas come from a combination of failures and successes, and ideas can be inspired from external sources. Next, what is a PRFAQ? So a PRFAQ stands for Press Release and Frequently Asked Questions. A press release is a one-page narrative that describes AWS's vision using customer-centric language. A press release is used to envision how the customer will react to the product, and it helps sort through ideas and ensures ideas are worthy of investment. What are some elements of the PRFAQ? This is a skill that takes practice to master, and it is known as a crafting process due to the draft and edit system used. This is where you share your plan early for feedback from superiors. FAQs are developed to answer questions that the customer may have, and there are 2 types: the customer FAQ and the stakeholder FAQ. The Customer FAQ is when you imagine you are the customer and you're writing questions and answers that a real customer would have. However, a stakeholder FAQ are questions your superiors or partners may ask. It is crucial to identify any difficult questions early when working backwards and incorporate these as both customer and stakeholder FAQs. Next, what is a visual? A visual allows one to explore the customer experience. It is used to show how the customers will use the product and how they want to use it. Furthermore, as the project matures, the visual can become more detailed as a result. The visual presentation is how pictures, images, and diagrams express ideas, and visual presentation maximizes effectiveness of a presentation. Here's a video about working backwards. Here is an example of a visual that I was just discussing. As stated, it helps enhance the overall presentation and can be easier to look at. Next, we're going to discuss the Amazon leadership principles. So these principles have been incorporated since 2002, and it explains how Amazon conducts business. These are done. These are how leaders manage and how decisions are actually formed for their customers. So, what are the 17 leadership principles? These 17 principles range from customer obsession, ownership, invent and simplify, write a lot, learn and be curious, and many more, all the way up to success and scope bring great responsibility. So let's discuss each of these. First, customer obsession and ownership. So customer obsession is where leaders begin with consumers and work backwards. They work diligently to maintain customer trust, and they help focus on customers and keep competition under a close eye as well. In order to do so, leaders must have humility and empathy. Next, ownership. Leaders are owners, and they plan for the future and do not sacrifice the future for immediate gain. They represent the entire company and take the initiative to help out. In order to do so, they must have persistence and integrity. Next, invent and simplify and write a lot. Invent and simplify. Workers are required to provide innovation and invention to their work, and they always work to simplify matters. Leaders constantly search for new and innovative ideas. In order to do so, they must have diligence, flexibility, and the ability to be misunderstood. Next, write a lot. Leaders have good judgment and intuition, and they look for different perspectives and work to disprove beliefs. In order to do so, they must have humility and optimism. Here's a video about the AWS leadership principles. So let's finish discussing the rest of the principles. Next, learn and be curious. Leaders are never satisfied and always look to improve themselves. They're curious about new opportunities. In order to do so, they must be able to learn and be diligent. Hire and develop the best. Leaders acknowledge outstanding work and are willingly open to promoting them. Leaders create other leaders and seriously consider their coaching of others. In order to do so, they must have courage and be able to invest. Next, delivering results. The leaders key in on the main suggestions, and despite problems, they persevere and never settle. In order to do so, they must be able to be committed and deliver. They must also insist on the highest standards. Leaders have incredibly high standards, and they constantly look for more and motivate their team to produce more in the form of superb products. In order to do so, they must be exceptional and must not compromise. Next, think big and bias for action. Leaders think big and encourage broad thinking to their workers. They encourage ambition across the working place at all times. In order to do so, leaders must be innovative and have optimism. Next, bias for action. Speed is very important in business, and knowing when to take a calculated risk is a valuable skill. Therefore, leaders must have good risk-taking ability as well as sufficient speed. Next, frugality and earning trust. Leaders must be frugal and maximize spending efficiency. Limits can lead to resourcefulness as well as clever thinking, and therefore good leaders are creative and adaptable. Next, earning trust. Leaders must listen, speak, and treat others respectfully and know their employees are not perfect. In order to do so, they must have trust and honesty. Diving deep and having a backbone. Leaders conduct business at all levels and are up to date on all of the details. Therefore, they're expected to push through any problem that they may face, as no task is under them. In order to do so, leaders must be detail oriented and demystify any problems. Leaders also have a backbone and can make tough decisions. They have a strong view and are ruthless when they need to be. Skills required include conviction and cohesion. Next, deliver results and try to be the best employer possible. Leaders must deliver results, and this is viewed by employees as a very highly important principle. Leaders must rise to the occasion. They have to deliver results for certain products and take responsibility for ideas. Next, they also have to be the best employer possible. They have to be a leader that has the objective of making the work environment a cooperative and safe place. Employees must be able to share ideas respectfully with others, and employers make sure that all of their employees are growing, empathized for, empowered, and ready for what is next. Next, success and scope bring great responsibility. The size of a company matters. This is because it gives them power over their consumers. And since Amazon is one of the largest companies on planet Earth, it empowers customers, it gives power to the commander of the company, and it helps the company expand beyond its current size at the moment. Those were the 17 leadership principles. Hope you learned something, and come back next week for more. We'll see